All right, welcome everyone to our first stream in a while, very long while. Um, I decided I wanted to make sure that this project was being revealed. I actually wanted to reveal it probably a good 6 months ago, but I wasn't in the right place to do that at the time. But it's a new game. Well, it's a game I'm designing. Um, it's going to be similar to certain games. I do want this to be free to play for everyone. I want this to be available to everyone around the world as much as possible because this game is going to be. It's it draws a lot. It does draw inspiration from Pokemon, but it's not the same thing by any means. Draws inspiration from that and from the whole Pokemon and Pokemon Go. Now, keep in mind this idea of Riftees started off with the name Anacritters. So those that follow Mythos Imprint, you'll hear the name Anacritters. Now, hey, how's it going, Greg? Not a whole lot. Just revealing my Riftees game. I'm trying to. I want to go and basically get this one at least out in the open for right now. It's going to be an AR based or AR and location based mobile game. And basically, it'll be similar in the sense that you can go and catch these monsters, but they're not all cute and cuddly. Some of them are kind of creepy looking, things like this. These are meant to be kind of like, it's more like a cosmic horror. A lot of these types of creatures, you could argue, are more kind of like lean towards like a cosmic horror, while others some are cute and cuddly, some are more, they look more like mythical creatures we've got throughout mythology and lore and all this from all over the world. And basically what your goal is to do is you're trying to find out why these creatures are showing up. And yeah, you can duke it out against other players, or tamers as we're calling them. So it's got its similarities with Pokemon and Pokemon Go, not quite the same thing. Your character, you are fully customizable. Your character itself is going to be fully customizable. And I do mean you're going to be able to adjust your height, your weight, your whatever. You're going to be able to do these things with your character to kind of, so other people see what your character looks like in game. But for the most part, it's AR based, so they can see what you look like when they're playing. But basically, you're going to be looking to go and capture these creatures, figure out what's going on around you in this AR based game. And there's going to be a ton of different NPCs that'll be available. You'll be able to interact with. And the whole point of the game is to get people out and actually get them to explore, get them to go walk around, exercise, do things, and really go see the world. And yeah, could you play this game in just like, let's say if you're in Portland, where I'm at currently, could you just play this game in Portland and call it good? Yeah, absolutely. Are you going to find every Rifty there is out there? No. You absolutely will not. But that's the thing. There's going to be a ton of Rifties that they're as like basically how Pokemon Go's got it put. It's regional, right? You got to think about this. There's going to be the Rifties act more like real animals. When I say this, they're not real animals. Okay, keep that in mind. And should not be treated as such. However, they're going to have migratory patterns. They'll have, they're going to change their habitats. Maybe they like this type of habitat. Well, they're going to be in these types of habitats. So this is going to be like, you walk to the park and you find this like fiery creature there. You're probably not. You'll find those in an area where it makes sense because it's supposed to go and connect more or less this invisible world, like this other reality with our own, is basically what it's supposed to look like. And that's going to be the big gimmick here. So you're trying to go and figure out why these creatures are here, why these evil organizations have crossed over, and why you can only see them using your phone. And basically you're trying to figure out what's going on and then put a stop to the bad guys and all that. You're going to help the good guys. You're going to do some research. You're going to do all sorts of things. And like I said, before you say this is Pokemon Go, it's not. There's a lot of things you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to interact with the world in a number of different ways. And I wanted this game to be similar to like the best way to describe it would be AR location-based game meets meta. You're basically going to be dealing with this. There will be like a whole world of like you'll have ads in it. And I want ads specifically. I want this game to be very ad friendly, but once again, these are things you can ignore. So, for instance, there might be an ad for, let's say, I don't know, we'll say like GameStop, right? Hypothetically, GameStop could put an ad in there, and so when you're near GameStop, you can interact with these things. And maybe there's a deal. You bring in your game here, you show them this code from the game or whatever. It gets you some kind of a deal, maybe a discount, things like this. It can be all sorts of different things. But the goal is to basically connect people with nature again, and to also connect these businesses. Especially, I want to go and target small businesses before I start targeting big as well. I do want big business involved, but I also want small business involved. I want them primarily. Why? Because, well, we need to help out our small businesses, especially in our local communities. But I also want people to go out and have fun. I want people to, go out. I want them to really have to focus on the training of their Rifties, setting up the right team. And like I said, this is not like Pokemon, because, I mean, in the sense where the battles, they're not quite the same. With Pokemon Go, it's going to be similar. That the battle is going to be similar. It's a tap, tap, tap mechanic. But there is other mechanics you will use. So you won't have to just necessarily tap, 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 tap the whole time. You can do this with maybe some Rifties. You're going to just do that a couple of times, and all of a sudden, all these things start going off, and you just go back and forth. Or, so you can have a different mechanic with every Rifty. On top of that, you're going to have the capability to breed your Rifties. You're going to have capabilities to interact, like I said, with other environments. So there might be, like I said, there could be the ads. There could also be, for instance, there's going to be rifts. The closest thing you could call it to would be like a Pokestop, but it's not the same thing, because these are completely randomly generated where they can appear. However, they will only be appearing in specific types of areas and not just in like somebody's home, for instance. So you won't be seeing that, as at least at first. It might. I'm hoping it won't, but I mean, we're gonna do whatever we can to make it so that's not a thing. I want Rifties, more or less in a. It could be like at a park. It could be like at a tree, for instance. It could be, it could be anywhere, but I don't want it to be inside people's homes, on private property, things like this. So we're gonna be doing a whole lot with that. And we're going to do what we can to basically make it so that way this game is going to be as accessible as possible to everybody. But end of the day, this is a game we want you guys out moving, or at least getting out and really just checking your environment out, catching these creatures. Catching certain ones. You're going to be able to go and check out for certain. You're going to be able to track them by a number of different means. You're going to have your own type of skill set that you come with. And your own skill tree that you're going to build for yourself. There's a ton of different things you're going to be able to do. I want this game, like I said, to be fully customizable. I want it to cater to you. It's not entirely, but I want it to be a good chunk. So I don't, for instance, if you got a player that's like, I don't want to walk today, I don't want to go out, we're not going to, have a whole lot of different ways to make it so that way. Oh, well, you don't want to walk, you don't want to get out, right? You're not going to go out and explore. That's not something we're going to go and really benefit you for. You'll be able to find things potentially, but like in a city environment, what are you going to find? Are you going to find, like I was saying earlier with the parks, are you going to find this big fiery monster just walking around? No. They're going to have their own unique environment they're going to want to hang out in. You might find other tamers, just ones that just want to challenge you. They just want to battle you, right? You can do that still. You'll be able to battle, but it's AR based. Keep this in mind. So this isn't something you can just go battle anywhere. You got to have some space to battle. As long as you can see right in front of you, more or less, I mean, you can battle. It's AR based. But we also want the creatures to be, we want it so that way their actual height is their actual height. We don't want to make it so, it's this creature that's supposed to be 30 feet long and it shows up on your screen, this little guy, right? That makes no sense. And we want to make it so that way this is a fully interactive game. So this creature is 30 feet tall, but then it's 30 feet tall. you're going to want to probably step back so you can see it all. You don't have to, but you're probably going to want to. And so it's one of those things. We're going to make it so it's not, like I said, it's not Pokemon Go, because you're going to be selecting your attack target. This isn't also in the same sense. It's not like an RPG where, oh, you set out all your guys all at once and they all attack. No, it's still a 1v1. Or, if you want to set up in teams, right? You can have a 3v1 in some cases. You can have a 2v2, 5, 1 versus 5. You can have all sorts of different things. That's what we want. And we're going to try and establish this as quickly as possible. But we do want players interacting. There's not going to really be any, like, all the tamers are technically on the same side. You can choose what you want to do with it, but you're always against the evil organization no matter what. There's several different groups that are going to be the bad guys. Some that are kind of not really bad, but they're not good either, so there's all sorts of things you're going to be able to interact with. There's going to be certain things based on certain regions, which are going to be set up based on not like necessarily your state, not necessarily United States. This is one region. No. It's going to be set up by the Riftees, like the Riftees reality, like it's folded over on itself. Think if you take a piece of paper and put two maps, they're similar, but let's say the state patterns of one are not, they don't line up with the other one. The other one is more kind of like, that's the invisible one. That's the one that's more dominant, if you will. And it's folded over. And all of a sudden you see, different outlines. This is these bigger outlines, these different areas. That's going to be how the Riftees are set up. So it's not going to be set up like, oh, Oregon is, Oregon's region. No, it could be Oregon, Washington, all the way up to like part of Canada, down into like Northern California, like the Pacific region is, which is going to be the first one where we're going to eventually beta test. I'm hoping to get this set up for beta testing, hopefully by 2025. Early 2025 is my goal. But it could be like mid 2025. So I'm aiming for. But right now I'm in talks with people. I'm trying to go and bring people on board. So that way we can start really getting this going. Because I want you guys to be able to start playing this as soon as possible. I want you guys to have beta opportunities. I want you guys to be able to really enjoy this. This is going to be a phenomenal game. Like I said, it's going to be a global thing, not just some of these nations are going to get this. No, every nation's going to get this. It'll be set there. Those are set regions. If they don't want to have access to it, it's their call. But we're gonna, the goal is basically we want to have something there in every nation. Whether we're warring with them or not. End of the day. If that means somebody's restricted and they can't get over, they can't get over. That's how the real world is playing out. That's not how the game is playing out, right? So think of it as like an alternate world where its politics, its problems, they don't carry over. I mean, they carry over, but ours don't carry back over. Just theirs carry over. That's it. So it's like I said, it's the piece of paper. This right here, it's going to go just like this. So if we had this one here, my to-do list, this is where this one over here, this is all, we'll say our world, and this over this side is the other world. So yeah, you can see it, but they're just going to fold over like that, and that's how it's going to operate. Everything on the inside works on everything on the inside, except this is basically going to have its like own kind of coating. Basically, is the best way you can look at it, where nothing's going to bleed through. Everything from here though does bleed down through here. So for instance, that's why you're going to get these events. We'll have different holiday events. Theirs are going to be different. They're not going to work the same way. They have some that are similar. So Halloween, Christmas, things like that. They do have some similarities, but it's just basically it's a much more dominant world that's bleeding over, and it's up to you guys to find out why. So hopefully this is something that interests you guys. You guys have any questions so far about the game? Any concerns? Any thoughts on it? I'm totally open right now for that. As if not, I got some things I can talk about. Namely, the first one is every region in this game you will have starters. You'll be able to pick from one of these. Now, keep in mind, these guys, this is just the guy you get to start with. You get to pick out of 3. This is going to be your similarities between that and Pokemon. There's every region has got 3 starters you can pick from. Some are unique to other regions, where you can't get them anywhere else. However, these things do nest. They can nest. They do have we're making it so the starters themselves, they don't migrate. So like even the birds, like that's why some of these, they're not going to be able to be capable of migrating. And so if you got like a bird type of Rifty, right, and it's a starter, it's not going to migrate, because I want there to be a ton of regional exclusives. So that way, when you're going to another region, like, you go into, like, let's say you're in the passive region, you go into the Solnara region, which is going to be California. I think it's New Mexico, Nevada, or not New Mexico, but Arizona, Nevada. It goes in that area. If you were to go from, let's say, northern, like right before you're in the passive region, you're in Solnara, you cross over that regional barrier right there, and all of a sudden now your spawns change. If you're right on that border, we want it so that way you can see both. You walk that border, now you're seeing both of them. But they don't cross. Some of these creatures will not, they won't cross. Or you might see a little bit of bleedage through some of the regions like that. But it's typically the ones you start with, they're going to be centrally located. They're going to be somewhere where there's not going to be bleedage, and we don't want that. You're going to be able to go and do all sorts of things. Crafting. There's going to be contests. We want it so that way there's tournaments. There's going to be ways. I do like the whole thought of having some kind of you have to constantly progress in each region, right? So I like the whole idea of a badge system, but we're going to make it so that way it's going to be similar, but not the same thing by any means. And they're more or less that's kind of an end game thing. If you want to do things with this is what you'll be able to do with them. But we want you guys to be able to go to these actual like locations for some of these things. That's eventually what we want to do. And so, yeah, I'm going to be looking for sponsorship for sure on this, and of course, there will be a Kickstarter coming out here soon. I'm anticipating probably in the next like 2 months. I should have everything ready to go for just kind of initial Kickstarter. What we want to do, I got to go and start getting to programming again and start really, grinding down on this. So my official Team Crow Go stuff is going to be kind of not put on the back burner, but it's going to be put aside for a little bit. It'll take kind of back seat on some of these things. I need to get this out. I really want you guys to go and do this, because the game itself is going to just be phenomenal. Like I said, it's more about our reality with something bleeding over. Think Stranger Things meets Pokemon meets with like a unique crafting system. So like kind of like I don't even know. I would say Minecraft, but not really. I mean, you're going to have to collect materials. So yeah, I guess more like Minecraft meets like HP Lovecraft. That's the best way I can describe it. Meets our mythology. That's really how this is going to break down. So like I said, you're going to have creatures that, yes, they can upgrade. So their way of upgrading is their transformation. It's a transformation. It's not an evolution per se, because I mean, that's the thing with Pokemon. Those aren't evolutions. It is technically, but it's like an instantaneous evolution that doesn't occur. So, but this is a transformation. It's literally a magical process. You could break down probably the science behind it, but it's magical. And end of the day, you wouldn't be able to explain it all the way. But basically, they're going to be able to transcend what their previous form was. So think kind of like every form is like a cocoon, almost like, except they don't shed their shell the same way. It just adjusts. So like their skeletal frame adjusts, their muscular system, all this, it just all adjusts as they go through this transformation. So it's got to be, I would assume it would probably be pretty painful for a lot of these creatures, but at the same time, there's a reason why they're doing that. You're going to be able to go and do all sorts of things with this. So it's just going to be a phenomenal experience for everybody. This is going to be a game that's going to be for everyone. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it's that. But I mean, the thing is, I'm making sure there's parodies, as I love parodies in games. I do love how like Borderlands, that's where I drew inspiration from this. Borderlands has got a ton of parodies, and I love it. Skyrim, the the what's it called, the Elder Scrolls, and Fallout 70, the Fallout universe, all of those, they do these hilarious parodies, and I think it's great. And they even deep dive with some of there's some of their own history, and that's what I intend to do with this as well. So you'll be able to explore your environment, be able to find out all sorts of things, interact with characters, find out what's going on, why they're here, what their world is like, right? Um, so that way you guys are going to be able to actually get a ton of lore. And I want this game to be super, super deep. I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, especially not anytime soon. It probably won't be until 2027, 2028 minimum once this game's been released and it's available to everybody. I'll start to kind of leak some things about, not necessarily about about the story, but there will be some things. Like I said, you guys are going to go and love it. It's just, I want this game to be fully complete when it comes out. Like, that's the one complaint I had. And like I said, Pokemon Go is a huge inspiration for me. I love playing Pokemon Go. And it's a huge inspiration for me. But it's also, it was one of my ways I could actually see how AR is doing. And they do some stuff with AR, but it's not really all that much. And I think that's kind of a problem. Is I think AR has got a huge opportunity here. And so I want these creatures to be able to interact. And like I said, I want them to be able to, I want you to be able to go and have as much fun with this, hunting these creatures down, capturing them, battling them, trading them. You're going to be, and there's all sorts of things you're going to be able to do. And I want everybody to be working together, which is an issue I see right now. There's too much divisiveness. We don't need to be divided. We're one people. We are the human race, right? We shouldn't be divided. This game, I don't want any different than that. I want everybody. That's why there's no teams. There's different skills you can have. You're going to be able to get into parties with people. So like an RPG where you can actually battle alongside each other. You can take on these bosses. We're planning on day one, right? When the game is fully released, even during the beta, I want to have the raids out there, which that's going to be an awesome system. It's all AR based. So you're going to have to track these things down. Your raid, you track them down. There's going to be puzzles to solve. There'll be clues you need to go and track down to go and, get into, to be able to do certain things, certain items. You're going to have to track them down. And it's going to be awesome. Plus, on top of that, we're going to have a unique soundtrack that I'm already looking for songs. I've already got an ideal soundtrack, what I want, that'll be available for the game. That's what I'm aiming to go and do. So eventually, I'm hoping to go and talk to the musicians, the artists. I want to go talk to them and see about them actually coming on board as our basically our musical director, if possible. So they would create the music for it, and they would actually have a big part in the game itself. Because the thing is, when you go into any environment, the feeling changes. You're out in the woods, it's different than if you're in the city, right? If you're in, you're like in a cemetery, you're going to be feeling different than you were if you were in, let's say, the desert or the ocean. Your feelings are all going to be different there. So I wanted to really give off this really awesome ambiances. The thing is, the soundtrack, it should be part of the game. It should be part of how you're playing it, enjoying the world itself. If you don't want to, that's fine. But I do want to bring things like horror elements into it. I want to bring mystery. I want to bring all these things and bring it all together and make this really unique game it's unlike any other experience you're ever going to go and find. So, last chance for questions, concerns, thoughts. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thumbnail will change on this if you guys do watch it later. I am planning on doing another live stream, hopefully maybe next week, possibly. Maybe the next couple of weeks. But there will be some more information coming out soon. Pay attention to crowworksentertainment.com. We are going to have some stuff coming up real soon that are going to be on there as well. I'm aiming to go and get some of the 3D models created here pretty soon. So hopefully that works out. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys next time.